Okay, we got Honda goodness going on. What we're doing today is making some valve adjustments on two cars simultaneously. We got a 98 Honda Accord and VTEC, and we got a 97 Honda Accord non-VTEC. And we are doing adjustments on the valves of each of these cars here. So what we've done so far is we've loosened 5 10 millimeter bolts on this cover here, which is for the 98 Honda Accord. The bolts stay in place via a washer on the underside that's permanently attached. You just loosen them, pull them up, and then pry the valve cover off. Be sure to, I'm going to point out the obvious here. Take your plugs out first. And you don't have to take out your spark plugs. You don't have to take your oil cap cover off. You can leave those in. But this one loosens, comes right off after you pry it. Be careful when you pry it. You can most likely reuse your gasket like I'm going to do in this case. On the 98 Accord and the 97, you've got to remove the upper timing belt cover. And it's a bit of a pain in the ass. There's 2 10 millimeter bolts that hold it in place. One that goes about right here. We got one that goes right here, and this other one is the pain in the ass. You actually have to take out your dipstick. Alright, we're going to start off, what is it, cylinder 1 that we're adjusting?
Yep.
Okay, we're going to start off with cylinder 1. As you can see on the 97 Accord, your sprocket here, your camshaft sprocket needs to be at top dead center for cylinder 1. You can see the up arrow right there. It needs to be basically sticking straight up. And you do that via turning your crankshaft with, what is that, a 19 millimeter?
Yeah.
With a 19 millimeter and a little elbow grease. Turn it counterclockwise. Very important. Do not turn it clockwise. Turn it counterclockwise. And helps if you have a buddy up here watching and letting you know when you're in the up position for cylinder 1. The 98 looks pretty much identical. The only difference is, see, there's your, I don't know if you can see it very well, but there's your up position. And on the block, you got a little notch right there that you can match it with. As you can see, there's a little arrow on the back side of the cam pulley. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. Okay. We have this very diverse feeler gauge here. This is about $13 at Napa. They had a smaller set, but when you're dealing with your valves, you probably want to be as exact as possible. So we're working on the 97. We're about to do the adjustment on the exhaust valves, and we've got a point 0.305 that we're working with. Now, it helps if you have 3 hands, so if you're a freak, this job will go really easy. If you're not, you're like the rest of us. You got your 10 millimeter here to hold your lock nut. And stick your feeler gauge under the tappet and do some adjustments. Now, you want just a little bit of drag on your feeler gauge. You don't want it to slide all the way out with no drag, and you don't want it to get stuck there. You want some drag. You got drag right there. That's probably it. Alright, we made the adjustment on the intake valves on cylinder 1. Now we're working on the exhaust valves on cylinder 1. Now we're working on the intake valves. It's a bit of a tighter spot to get to no matter what car or what Honda you're working on because it's toward the back, but we're making the adjustment here. Our feeler is a .30?
0.254.
0.254 on the intake. All right, we're making the finishing touches on cylinder 1 on the intake valve. Saves you all the pain that we just went through. We basically dropped a feeler gauge down in the engine, and it did not hit the ground, so we spent the last 30 minutes trying to locate that. So keep a flashlight and some kind of a magnetic extension available, because you just might, or you can tie a string to it and tie it to your wrist or tie it to the engine somewhere. That'll be fine. All right, we're done with cylinder 1. Now we want to rotate the crank shaft until our up position right here is in the 3 o'clock position. So you're going to be turning the crank shaft 180 degrees to turn your camshaft pulley 90, and it will go to the right, to the 3 o'clock position. So do that, and then start your process all over again. Use the same feeler gauges that you did for the exhaust and for the intake, and then we will come back and do cylinder number 3. Alright, so we're finishing up the intake valves on cylinder 2. And just a reminder, your up positioner needs to be in the 3 o'clock position, which will make your cylinder 2 valves at top dead center. Next we're going to be working on 4, which we're going to rotate the crankshaft to allow the up position to be in the 6 o'clock position on the crank pulley. And then after that, we want it, after we finish up those valves, those exhaust and intake valves, we want to turn the crankshaft again until the up position on the cam pulley is in the 9 o'clock position, and that's when we service the cylinder 3 valves. All right, we finished servicing the 97 Accord over here to the 98. There's really no difference. You use the same measurements in your feeler gauges, and you use the same exact procedures of adjusting your valves. So, so now we're going to put them back together, and be sure to put your timing cover on first, as your valve cover is going to go over the lip to hold it down. You got the 2 10mm screws, which are absolute hell to put back in. So if you want to put one in, that might be okay. And put your valve cover back on. Seat everything down, screw everything down, not too tight. And then we'll get all that secure and starter them up. All right, we're going to start up the 97 Accord. Let's see how she sounds. Take 2, we had a wrench in the engine, literally. All right, take 2. Okay, so we just got the valve job done on this car, and we'll see if it helps out. Ready to throw a rod? Yeah.